Hey guys, I'm Cece and this is my May book haul. So I bought a lot of books in May. Not like an excessive amount, but I bought a lot of books in May. I think I have 13 books. I bought 13 books in May. I've read about half of these already, so you've probably seen them in my May wrap-up. It's also very likely that you saw them in my June TBR, but we're gonna show them to you anyway. The first 4 books that I have are from a website called Thrift Books, which is sort of a secondhand bookstore kind of thing. But you can get really, really cheap books there, and I abuse it because you can get books for like $2 or $3. So I will leave a link to that website below. The first book that I got from Thrift Books at the beginning of the month was Odd Girls and Twilight Lovers by Lillian Faderman. I read this already. It is a nonfiction book. It is about the history of lesbian life in 20th century America. It was a little bit boring, but I still liked it and I still learned a lot, so I'm very glad that I have this book, and I'm glad that I'll be able to keep it in my nonfiction section. The next book that I got was On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which was on my June TBR, and I actually will be starting it tonight, a little bit after I finish this video. I don't know a ton about this book. I know it's a movie, which I have not seen, and I know it's about 2 friends, and they sort of go on a cross-country road trip. It takes place in the 50s, so I will let you know what I think of it. Yeah. The next book that I picked up from Thrift Books was Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I've wanted to read this for a very, very long time. I don't know much about it except that it takes place in sort of an antique bookstore, and that there's a boy trying to find copies of this book that apparently all of the copies are being systematically burned. I also believe it's a historical fiction. But I've just heard that this is an incredible book, and it takes place in a bookstore. That's like one of my favorite things. So I'm excited to read this. I'll be reading this after I read On the Road. Yay! The next book that I got was Almost Like Being in Love by Steve Kluger. I wasn't going to buy this or like read it soon, but then I saw it on Thrift Books for like $2, and so I just grabbed it. This is an LGBTQIA book. It's about these 2 boys who were in love in high school and then sort of grew apart, and then they meet up again, I think at a high school reunion. And one of them still loves the other. Maybe they both love each other still. This was also in my June TBR. I'm going to read it very soon. But it's just a really pretty book. I really like the cover. It's so bright and fun. And the last book that I got from Thrift Books is a book I've already read, and that is 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. I've already read this book. I read it a few years ago when I was still in high school, and it's about this girl, and her aunt dies, and after her aunt dies, she gets a bunch of letters telling her that she has to go on this trip all around Europe. And her aunt, even though she's gone, is leading her on this trip. When I read it in high school, it made me want to travel all over Europe, and this fall I'm going to spend a semester in London and travel a lot of places. And since this is the book that made me want to travel Europe, I'm planning on rereading it probably in July, maybe in August. But yay, I finally have my own copy of the book that made me want to travel, and now I get to travel. The next 2 books that I have are from a local bookstore. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I already read this and I talked about it in my May wrap-up. It was very good and very funny. It is about this boy named Greg who sort of coasts through life, and he avoids being anyone's friend really, and then he finds out that this girl that he used to know has cancer. Which sounds sort of sad, and it sounds kind of like The Fault in Our Stars-y, which is what it's compared to, but this book is really, really funny, and Greg is really funny, and Earl is also a really funny character. This book is a movie that's coming out soon. It may have already come out, actually, and I'm excited to see it, but I love the way this book looks. This is one of my favorite books as far as, like, aesthetically. It's just really pretty. The next book that I picked up was Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I just finished it a couple days ago, so this will be in my June wrap-up at the end of the month. But I'll let you know that I did like it. There are like post-its, which always happens with books written by John Green. But yeah, Will Grayson is about these 2 boys who are both named Will Grayson, but they live vastly different lives, and one evening in Chicago they meet. That's pretty much all I'm gonna tell you about the book. But it was really good, and further expanding my John Green, I mean, it's not really my John Green collection, because it's also by David Levithan, but still expanding my John Green collection a little bit. The next two books I got were from Barnes & Noble. I don't shop at Barnes & Noble super often because it's so expensive, but I definitely went and picked these up specifically because I'd been dying to read them as soon as I got back from school. The first one that I have is None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. This has been in like every video that I've done so far. I think you're probably all really sick of me talking about None of the Above. It's a very good book, and it's very pretty, and I love the way it looks on my shelf. It's just so nice looking. I love None of the Above. The next book that I got from Barnes & Noble was The Martian by Andy Weir. I have about, 40 pages left of this book. I don't know how I put it down for long enough to film this video. Actually, yes I do. It's because the sun's going down and I'm losing my lighting. That's why I decided to do this before I finish this book. It is about this guy named Mark Watney. Through a series of events, everyone he was on Mars with in his, Mars mission thinks he is dead when a mission goes wrong and they leave him on Mars and he is left to survive on his own. It sounds really intense, and it is, but it's also very funny. This was one of my other favorite books just to look at because I think it's the color's really pretty. I love the way it looks on my shelf, and I'm really excited to talk about this in my June wrap-up. The next three books I got from three different places, but I didn't want to split them up because they're part of a series, and those are the first three books in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Yay! So that is Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. I've actually read all three of these by now, and they mainly follow this lead character whose name is Selena Sardothian, and she is an assassin who tries to earn her freedom by becoming the king's champion. And there's a lot of other stuff going on. There was magic at one point, but now magic is outlawed, and so it's disappeared, and there's fights to the death, and it's a very good series. You should read it. I will be getting The Assassin's Blade, which is the series of prequel novellas, soon. That will probably be in my June book haul, but for now, I have the first three, and it's very exciting. And the last book that I got was just sort of a random pickup. I went to a local thrift store and happened to find this book, which is Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. I don't own any other Laurie Halse Anderson books, and actually I've only ever read Winter Girls. I've never read Speak. So this has just gotten bumped up on my TBR list significantly. It's been on there, but it just got bumped up. This was like $2, and it was just because this nice man let me come into the store even though he was closing, and he let me go pick up a book anyway. And I have no idea what it's about, and I kind of want to go into it blind, so I'll let you know after I read it. And those are the books that I bought in May. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments what you thought of them, and I will see you in another video real soon.